Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett, joined as always by Kyle. But Kyle, this is a very special week. We are joined by a guest. We're going to end up with like a 2-guest month at least, but it's not just any guest. It is someone we've been wanting to have on the show for a while, and when we were talking to her just last week, we realized, why in the hell haven't we made this happen before? There was literally nothing stopping us. Please welcome to the show, Bethany, or you might know her better as Itslashes.
Hello. Yeah, that is a good question. How come this never happened? We never really thought about it, did we? I think that's funny.
I don't know. I really don't know. Cause like, I think we talked about it pretty early on. And then you did Jules's podcast, which was like, yeah, that was legit. And I was like, I don't really want to follow that.
That was great. That one was really tough though, because stuff was still pretty fresh back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been listening to Into the Nexus for a very, 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 very long time. Didn't you say it was like 307 episodes?
This is the 307th episode of the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That you guys deserve like a trophy. Or like some sort of award. Maybe I'll make you like an award thing.
You know, I cannot reach it with the tether that I'm currently on. That is this earbud in my ear. But, you know, somebody, there was a community manager that once was over on the Heroes team, sent us a pint glass that was etched with Into the Nexus in it with the Heroes icon. And that is as nice of a trophy as I could ever ask for.
It's great. That was a great thing, but that's not a trophy. You need like a legit podcast trophy.
I mean, it's basically the Stanley Cup. I can drink out of it. I'm stoked.
This is true. You need ice cream out of it. Drink soup.
I mean, you kind of over time, your time at Blizzard, sent us everything but a trophy. We got t-shirts and sticker packs, a giant actual 3D loot box,
a
cereal
mask.
You sent us cereal. Yeah, luchador mask.
I have that over on my other bookshelf that is even further away.
Yeah, those projects were so much fun to work on. Honestly, probably one of my most favorite things about my role when I was at Blizzard. Sending you guys free cool stuff.
Anytime anyone walks into my recording studio who is even remotely familiar with the existence of Heroes of the Storm, is just like, what a delightfully obscure, awesome item. Where did you find that? Oh my God, look at that. It's over there as well. Where did you get that? And the answer over and over again is, well, the Heroes team. Lashes just used to get addresses, and boy, the cool stuff y'all sent out.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It wasn't just me. Like, I don't want to be taking all the credit. Like, when I worked there, we had such a creative and inspiring team of people that came together to come up with these crazy ideas. Like, how are we gonna make it an actual IRL 3D loot chest to send out, and how do we get that made, and what do we put in it? So the whole team was just great to work with. So.
Yeah,
I think my favorite part, as a dungeon master, my favorite part was learning that you found somebody who professionally burned the edges of notes.
Oh my gosh.
For the Ragnaros release.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
I forgot about that. I actually forgot about that. That was crazy. We had to like go hunt someone down that hand burned parchment paper. To print like the letter on that we put into the box of Ragnaros. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
I did not realize that it was legitimately burnt. I do remember looking at it going, man, this looks legit. Turns out it was.
Every single somebody somewhere, like by hand, took a piece of parchment and burned the edges. Every single piece that we sent out to people, which I think I don't know. It's like hundreds. So
it's great fuel for any child out there who is, getting into fire. When your parents give you a hard time, you say, "Whoa, listen, I'm going to own an Etsy store someday."
Yes.
And this could be my life.
Carefully. Supervise.
Of course.
With a fire hydrant nearby.
Oh, God. Oh, that's just phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Now all I want to do is sit here and talk about all the rad swag that we've received from Heroes. One more, because I distinctly remember it coming, having no idea that it was on its way. And it was one of the few times where Katie and I checked the mail at the same time, or we checked the front door at the same time. We bring it in, we're like, what is this big box? And we open it, and there's a damn cake inside it. They mailed a cake.
Yeah.
A full edible, honest to God, baked.
That was a good cake.
We learned a lot of lessons in that one, and the next thing we sent out that was something edible were cookies, and something that's a little less perishable on porches.
Well, man, it was fine for me, and if I remember, that went out during summer months in Florida here. So it was okay. It was okay, but
Sweet.
yeah, oh man, yeah, I didn't mean this to become just like the swag hour, but opening it, Katie was just like, "How the hell do you mail a cake?" And I'm like, "I don't know. This is incredible."
I don't know. Some sort of magic happened. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That was great. So, anyways, I mean, you're streaming quite a bit these days, and
Yeah.
I should have clipped it and put it in here. You sent us someone highlighted you going through the patch notes when this show got a little bit of a shout out recently.
I just about fell off my chair. I could not believe it. And like this is coming from somebody that used to, work with the team that published the patch notes. I don't think there's ever been like a specific shout out to a community member or members ever. And it made my day. And I was like, you know what? They're doing something right. Yay. I mean, obviously, they can't do that all the time. But it made me super happy.
I was just
that happened.
Yeah. I mostly just want to bring it just because your reaction just like was somehow on par with seeing the note myself in the notes or in the patch notes, because like your highlight was tweeted at me and I watched it, I just was dying. I was like, Katie, you need to see this. What? Oh, it's Bethany. What's she doing? And I'm like, shh, just watch.
Yeah, it was so great. It was such a good surprise after because we all have read hundreds of patch notes, and so to have that little bit in there was great. It was special. It made me feel special, and I'm not even you guys. So,
well, with great power comes great responsibility. And Garrett, we got in a little trouble last week talking about leaving lane clear, so we're gonna have to control ourselves.
Why?
On this show
Why
now.
were we getting in trouble?
Well, because we might be able to affect the patch notes, and
Good.
people are sick of seeing Li Ming.
Good. Oh, you know what? You're probably sick of seeing Li Ming either because it's not working because they're not as good as they think they are, or they're just really freaking good. But I don't get as mad about seeing good Li Mings as I do Li Mings that are missing their magic missiles. And you know what would go a long way to smooth over those Li Mings that maybe can't hit their magic missiles as much? Giving her some damn lane clear.
Let's double down. Yeah, in the face of everyone, double down on it. I like it. Strong stance.
This is what I want.
her wave clear used to be really strong. Her wave clear was so strong that they had to nerf it. I don't know if you guys remember, but
I do.
Oh yeah.
Curran was like main Li Ming. Oh man, I remember he was just devastated when they took away her wave clear.
Listen,
that was forever ago, though.
I don't think she needs it right out the gate like Jaina or Kael'thas, but I think it's okay. I think we live in a world now where it would be. I legitimately think, not to beat a dead horse, but I legitimately think it would be fine. We live in a world where Li Ming gets lane clear at like level 7.
I disagree. She'd be too scary.
It's fine. I think it's fine.
See, the voice of reason is here.
It'd be fun to play, but she would just be banned every game, and you wouldn't even get to play her.
Good,
and
good.
That's
what I want. Get something other than Oriole or Deathwing the hell out of my ban slots. Let's do it.
We have a gauge today. That's the great thing about Lashes being here, because you're battling it out in those trenches, in the golds.
Yes.
So anything we say that is completely disconnected from reality, you're here to tell us the truth.
Well, yeah. If you're thinking that gold and silver is the truth leagues, then sure.
Yeah, it's a bell curve. That's where the majority of people are.
You are the champion of the people.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, we were talking just a little bit before the show, and I've been in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I'm in plat. I'm nothing fantastic there. I don't think there's a big difference between plat to gold. But then you just had this one little thing that just pulled the pin in my brain like a grenade right before the show. And you said, oh yeah, I don't see a lot of Nazeebo anymore. He's not even banned anymore. And I just went, wait, hit the brakes. I'm sorry. Nazeebo was getting banned and we had a short little thing. And, so apparently there is a difference in the meta, because that blew my mind.
There definitely is. And here's the thing. I have not been gold for very long this season. Like, I finally... Okay, look. years ago I was gold, and then I have spent the last 2 years of my life trying to climb my way out of silver and back to gold, and it finally happened in January. Not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. And so maybe it was just in silver that Nazeebo was such a big problem and was banned and drafted. And ever since I've been in gold, I don't really see Nazeebo anymore. Sometimes you see him, but like he's really just not that much of an issue. He's just kind of ignored.
Yeah.
Well, who are the reigning terrors in your league right now?
Oh yeah. First bans are basically Kael'thas, Deathwing, unfortunately, Azmodan.
Azmodan's interesting.
Ariel's actually picking up a lot of speed now because of her recent changes. So you're seeing a lot more Ariel bans. Diablo is banned a lot. But weirdly enough, I've been seeing a lot of Samaros lately. And usually when a team has a Samaro, they win because it's not enjoyable. But yeah, Kael'thas for sure. Kael'thas, Diablo, Deathwing. Kira's not really paid attention to anymore. She used to be banned, like first ban all the, but then Deathwing happened.
We'll be talking about Kael'thas later in the show today.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
I saw that.
Yeah, a lot of that makes sense. I mean, not that I see a lot of Kael'thas bans, but that is something that's has really persisted. I feel like in gold for years is the Kael'thas ban. But I guess the one that sticks out to me from what you just mentioned is Azmodan. I can't remember the last time I saw an Azmodan ban.
It happens a lot, and it's because what I think is a lot of people don't understand how to play against an Azmodan. So the Azmodans in gold are just free to win the objectives. Kind of like, well, we all just played a game together right before we went live here, and there we were up against an Azmodan. And the thing that we did differently compared to people in gold is we actually, kept track of the Azmodan and didn't let him win the objectives. And when he was pushing, we went and we responded to his pushes. But people in gold typically don't do that. So anytime, you get an Azmodan on your team, it's basically like a guaranteed win because the other team just doesn't know how to respond to him.
Yeah, if you see them overextend, punish them.
Exactly. Oh, Varian's and also a very popular band, by the way. That just popped in my head.
Yeah. I actually think that's kind of a smart one. Varian, when I was in gold, it was difficult of a difficult hero to react to. That makes a lot of sense to me. I like that. I would be down. I would be down with the Varian ban.
Let me tell you about the new Varian, and his name is Butcher. And we all will need to wise up and be afraid because Butcher's reign of terror is coming.
Are you are you more of like a crazy harbinger with a wooden sign over your chest right now, like Butcher is coming, or are you more like a weatherman, like you have science, you have data you can point to, and next week there's a 78% chance of Butcher?
I wouldn't go that far. Maybe I'm like predicting months out, but that ruthless onslaught, Unstoppable, is really hard to deal with right now because Unstoppable stops blinds. So when you try to draft against him, everybody piles on the Cassias and the Johannas and the Lilies, but you have to blind him after he's already connected and lost the Unstoppable, which means he connects. He gets his first auto attack out, as well as probably his slam, spell damage. That didn't matter so much. But for that entirety of his engage, you have to just sit and wait and then blind him afterwards. Whereas Varian, you can do that whenever you want and give him a little pop.
It's true.
That is
very true.
It's a good point. It's a good point. So, but they still just die. Like it's not like it only comes down to blinds. Like you can just, kill the Butcher.
You could, yeah, that's true. Tyrael being with Butcher though, it's becoming a thing.
It is a thing. It's already a thing in gold. You got a Judgment, Tyrael, and a Butcher.
Oh, that's I'm seeing the sanctification in my league, but I understand the gold league execution of the right clicking.
Oh yeah, the right clicking is great.
You got to delete, man. Just delete things. You don't need to worry about them anymore.
I'm a firm believer that a butcher in the right hands is actually terrifying and probably one of the scariest heroes in the Nexus.
So I'm curious. I mean, first of all, grats on completing your climb. What kind of got you there? Was there did you have sort of a breakthrough, or was it just kind of day by day refinement?
Definitely playing more, just getting kind of used to the mentality and the psychology, definitely in the banning phases, because it didn't make sense to me what heroes were getting banned. But then once I kind of learned how people were playing and how terrifying Kael'thas is, because people don't know how to not spread the bombs, things like that. And then I started kind of understanding how people play in silver. And then I wasn't streaming one night, but I was just randomly playing ranked, and I ran into this 3-stack of players that were all playing together, and some of them were in gold. And we won a game together. We absolutely smashed the enemy team, and then they just immediately sent an invite to me after the game. And so I was like, well, why not? I felt really good about playing with them. We all seemed to gel well together. And so, normally I don't, normally I solo queue. So that was my first problem, I think, right there, is just trying to solo queue my way up. Queues are longer when you solo queue, at least I think. That's my personal opinion. And then, so then we went I don't know, six wins in a row. And then we finally lost. And then it was 1:00 in the morning, and I was like, okay, it's time to go to bed. But then, that brought me up all the way to silver 1. And then the next day they were on again, and we were like, hey, let's group up. And same thing. And then eventually I made it into gold 5. And then now I'm gold 3 right now, I think.
Oh,
nice. The climb continues.
Yeah, it does continue. And what happened is I found another group of people that I work well with, and they've been on every single night for the past week and a half. So we've been kind of buddying up and playing together, and we're all around the same rank. They're really chill dudes, and it's been a lot of fun. So working together as a team has helped me rank up. Imagine that, a team-based MOBA helps you rank up when you work with a team and not by yourself.
You don't say.
I know, right?
Blowing my
Mind blowing.
mind.
Have you fallen into a dedicated role doing that with the team?
Yeah, we kind of all have our dedicated roles. A lot of us kind of flex though. But there's one person that specifically only heals, and which is great. They're a great healer. I do a lot of mages and tanks, so I try to fulfill those roles. We've already figured out that when I play a bruiser in ranked, it's not a good idea, and things like that. So we just started playing together a week ago, so we're still trying to learn each other's strengths and stuff. And it's not like it's a set group. It's just oh hey, we happen to all be online every night at the same time, and we work well together. Let's play.
Nice.
And sometimes we have bad games too. It's not like every game is a dream. Sometimes we'll have some bad games and we call for the night because we get grumpy. But it's been a lot of fun.
A lot of yelling at maybe, I don't know, Diablo players for no particular reason.
Sorry, what was that?
I was making an in joke. I said a lot of yelling at Diablo players. I'm just going to say Diablo for no particular reason.
a lot of yelling at Diablo players.
Nice.
No, actually, he's banned, so we never have Diablos in gold.
Diablo ban still going on. Nice. All right.
Oh yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, rad. Very cool. So these warriors and mages, I know I've seen you on the ETC. Is that your go-to, or are there other warriors you like to front?
ETC was kind of my older go-to. I've been playing a lot of Anubarak lately as my tank. I'm learning Mal'Ganis right now because Mal'Ganis can ruin your day if played correctly. So I think I'm doing okay on Mal'Ganis, but I'm not comfortable enough to take him into rank quite yet. But Gul'dan is my main squeeze of all time. He's my highest level hero. I love Gul'dan. And I feel very comfortable playing Gul'dan. And I think that a lot of playing ranked also comes down to your personal mentality, and kind of the psychology behind your picks. And because if you go into a ranked game and you're forced into a pick that you're not really comfortable with, you're already thinking about it in a negative mindset. And I think that can contribute heavily to you not doing well, or you messing up plays, or you overthinking, and you don't know when to be aggressive, and you don't know when to be defensive, and things like that. So Gul'dan is like my number one comfort pick because I've played him so much, and I kind of have that synergy with him. I played a warlock for years in World of Warcraft, and so to me, Gul'dan, and a priest. So like, I only pick Horrify because I've just spent the past 15 years of my life, literally many hundreds of days played, fearing people into oblivion and draining their soul. So Gul'dan just kind of falls naturally for me as a comfort pick. And Orphea, I love Orphea.
Your sheer joy and also knowing your pure love of things like Disney makes you explaining why you love Gul'dan so much even better.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's just like,
yay.
Yeah, I love Disney, and I'm a happy person. Also, I love fearing you and siphoning your soul away.
Oh, did you not expect that from me?
It's just
think of me as a Brightwing. I might seem like really magical with sparkles and rainbows on the outside, but ouchie time.
I gotta work at it.
It's a great way to put it.
Being a good person takes effort, and you need an outlet.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
now
totally.
I need new custom lines of Brightwing and Gul'dan when they get the team together, getting along way too well.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's what I need. That's what I need. Rad. Well, we got some questions from some folks over on our patron Discord. They wanted to pick your brain.
Yeah, I'm here.
We've been talking quite a bit about community events as of recently because, well, Kyle, you've been in the CCL.
True.
Yeah. And so one of the questions that came out of our Discord was they were curious, with your past knowledge. Obviously, you're not currently working for Blizzard, but they want to know if folks such as our show or CCL or NGS or any other, fan run league, wanted to be featured on the BNet launcher. Or I'll even, go one further, just kind of, start to reach out to Blizzard to try and get some sort of promotion. How would you think they should do that? Or where should they start?
That's a little tough. I think like the official answer, not that I'm official. I'm obviously not an employee of Blizzard Entertainment anymore, but I think that you would basically need to shoot an email over to the PR team right now because they don't really have people that are in charge of that program anymore, the launcher program. So just send an email over to the PR@blizzard.com email. It's a publicly known email address, so I'm not giving away any secrets here. Just shoot them an email, say hey, I was interested in that streamer program. Obviously write your email more eloquently than I'm speaking right now. And it's just express interest. Just let them know, ask questions. That would be the official route that I would suggest. The unofficial route and the thing that I always encourage creators to do if they want to be more involved with game companies and game studios is find their community managers for whatever game you're playing. Doesn't have to be Blizzard. For whatever game you're playing, you want to get more involved, do events, do cool live streams, possibly do paid gigs, who knows. Find their community managers on Twitter. Every game community manager is on Twitter. If your community manager for your game is not on Twitter, they're doing it wrong. Twitter is such a great tool and a really great way to connect with people, whether it's finding new friends or networking and building relationships with people that are within the video game industry or really any industry that has a heavy social influence. So find your community managers on Twitter or community managers on Twitter. Look for the creator relationships or influencer managers, people with that kind of title. Even if you can't find a community manager, maybe you run into a PR manager that's listed in their bio or something, and just kind of just reach out to them. The worst that can happen is they say no or they just don't respond. But like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky. Okay, so get out there and just be aggressive. And if you don't speak up, they'll never know that you're there and that you're interested. And people and companies are more willing to work with you if they know that you're interested. You know, it's hard. There's a sea of creators, and you can't just be like, oh, that person looks nice. Maybe they play my game. Like, that's so hard. So you got to make it easier for the community manager to recognize, oh, shoot, this person makes really great content. I want to work with them. I want to try and help build their brand and things like that. So the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm full of all kinds of isms.
It can sound, a little clinical and corporate to say, and maybe also like a cop out to say, yeah, hey, networking, it actually works, but it does legitimately work. And it doesn't have to be as boring as it sounds, because a lot of folks, especially in this scene, they're just as big of a dork and nerd as we are. And
heck
so, it's like,
definitely. I've got a freaking massive plush unicorn on my chair right here behind me. Like, I'm a nerd, okay?
Yeah,
we're all nerds.
but that's, I mean, it is legitimately networking. Like, whether or not it's an attractive term to use, but yeah, just like start talking to folks. And honestly, I'm glad you mentioned just like this standard PR email, because it is a good resource, and a lot of times they'll provide you the actual point of contact for what you're
because like right now I have zero visibility into doing what over there, so they're going to be the best people to ask.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for that, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem.
Kyle, I see some red ink here, which usually means you've got a question to ask.
Oh,
I was wondering, based off some of these questions, going back through your memory, what sort of like heroes, maps, updates really inspired the team in the past? And while you were there, was there any favorite memories that come to mind?
Oh. With maps?
Well, no one could stop talking about making Gazlowe. Like, what stands out in your mind as just the most like insane creativity that the team was ever fervent about?
Oh, that's definitely my personal opinion. I think that the thing that the team was most excited about was coming together to make Orphea. And I don't think I'm biased here. This is from my perspective of sort of observing all our entire dev team, not just Kyle. Hi Kyle, by the way, you're great. Not you, Kyle. My
no,
Kyle.
I know.
You're great too, Kyle. Two Kyles. Just watching how much pure love and attention and hard work, like Orphea, even like every little bit about Orphea went through so many different iterations, whether it was her abilities or her animations, her concept art. Like there was so much work that went into making Orphea, because she was the first Nexus original hero. And so she had to be done right. And the team took extra time to make her right. And it was just kind of contagious. Just the excitement. Obviously, there was a lot of nervousness about it, whether or not the community would be open to accepting and wanting and embracing the idea of a Nexus original. So obviously, there was a lot of like, oh, are we making the right decision? But I think that in the end, the love and the sheer amount of creativity just totally won. And I think she's one of the best heroes ever made in the game. So my answer would definitely be Orphea.
I got that vibe, especially at that BlizzCon. Like it seemed like
she's special. She's special, and I hope that you can all feel how special she is when you play her. If you haven't played her, like give her a shot. She's got that extra sparkle. She's got that extra sass. She's got that. She is the Nexus, and I think that the team pulled it off so well. I love what they did. But definitely before Orphea, I would say Nexus 2.0. There's a lot of great things that went in the 2.0 launch that the team was so excited about. And And you have to keep in mind, like I wasn't working on the team from the very beginning, so I'm sure a lot of other devs and other people would have even better stories than what I do, than what I have. But for me, I'd say like the two highlights of seeing the team so jazzed and amped up was all the content that came with 2.0 and Orphea.
I'm glad that my assumptions in that regard pretty overlapped pretty well. I had similar feelings. There was buzz around those.
Yeah, it's just like a special type of energy that it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, honestly, I'm getting very similar vibes from Deathwing, because it was a large event for Deathwing to finally come to the Nexus.
Definitely. Also, the creation of Kael'thas was pretty intense too. That was another hero that the team had to super get right, because there's and that's the thing. I think this all comes from pressure from the player base. To always keep doing something better and getting things right. And when you have these iconic heroes like Deathwing and Kael'thas, like there's a lot of pressure there to get those.
That was something Kyle Dates talked about in his interview with Cloakin last week. Kael'thas specifically came up and kind of talking about like the nervousness surrounding tackling the design of very well known, very fan loved characters.
Yeah.
Was that
tough?
Gauged or industrialized? Like, did you show up to work and as community manager, you sort of popped open the projector and was like, "All right, guys, top of Reddit today. Here, first comment, tick, tick on your little clicker, down to it?" Or did people just sort of read on their phones and then talk amongst themselves?
For talking about what specifically, or
like that community influence, that pressure, or that excitement?
No. So like the funny thing is I have nothing to do with Reddit. Obviously I would keep my eye on Reddit. If anything, the devs read Reddit every day on their own. The community managers have nothing to do with showing the devs Reddit. The devs are so passionate and so invested in this game that obviously they're gonna wanna read and see everything that they can about their hard work and their love and their passion that they're pouring into the game every day. That's they were doing that all on their own. I have nothing to do with that.
It's awesome. So it's a little more. It sounds a little more natural the way that's kind of handled or kind of taken in. How you kind of have your finger on the pulse of things, which is good. As much as fun as your the scene you set there, Kyle, was. I love the idea of having a pointer out, like, all right, we have 7 mentions of Kael'thas today. Clearly, they're very excited.
Yeah.
In a way, like, I like both ideas. I want to protect them. They're precious devs, and I love them, and I want them to be happy and have things, put in a nice little lunchbox for them. And they're like, oh, this is a nice little comment here, and they eat that bit, and they got dessert. And instead, I'm sure there are moments where they just head to work. They see something like, you don't understand. You missed the point.
Every day. Literally.
Yeah.
but that's the. I mean, it's hard for somebody that's never worked on games. It's hard for them to really understand what really goes into making a game. We live in such a time in society where everything is instant gratification. So if they don't like a change in a game, why aren't the devs fixing it immediately? Don't they see this is the biggest travesty since sliced bread? It's awful. Please fix, immediately. But they don't realize that that one fix is gonna, require hours and hours of testing and figuring what else works with it and things like that. Obviously, I'm not a dev, so like I can't speak very eloquently to the design and the programming and the engineering that goes into everything, but like I feel like I have a stronger grasp on what it truly takes to make a video game work than your average armchair dev. So be kind, please. These are real humans making your video game, and good things take time.
Yeah. As someone who I'm sure has piled on to that before with completely unrealistic requests. You know, just it happens. You know, don't always we don't always know or understand all of the moving parts. But
right, we're caught up in the moment sometimes.
Yeah, you're passionate. Just no death threats, please.
I can confidently say I've never wished death upon anyone.
Thank goodness.
One time, I distinctly remember chatting with Ben Brode about Hearthstone stuff, and he was like, one time I turned off your Hearthstone podcast because you were out of line, man. And that was like the most painful thing anyone had ever said to me. I was like, oh no, I said something that made Ben Brode turn my show off. So, to the devs, tell me when I'm being a butthole. I want to know.
They told you when you were right. I don't. They should be able to tell you you're a butthole.
They need to keep my ego in check, though. It's really what I'm telling them.
Yeah.
Let me know both, please and thank you. Well, rad. Well, cool. Well, thanks for taking some questions from our little section of the community here. Really appreciate it.
For sure. I'm always happy to answer them anytime if I can. So I'll do my best to answer any questions anyone has. I love talking about Heroes. Heroes of the Storm is my favorite game still. So, I'm always down to chat Heroes and stuff like that.
Rad. Well, we've got a regular show assembled too, and Bethany, you're going to hang out for all of it. We're going to talk about how the balance patches landed and some other stuff as well. But before we get into that, we got some thanks in order today. First off, to our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like this podcast and you want to support us, head on over there. Seriously, like dollar patrons and our, all the way up to our producers, it all adds up. It all really helps. And we really appreciate it, y'all. And we're still exceptionally close to our next goal, where Kyle and I will bring back our other show, Weak Sauce, where we talk about random BS and just really try to make each other laugh and not
or
make it
see
to
other
show.
movies and play other things.
Yes, that too. So go check it out. And this week we want to thank some of our newer patrons. So thank you to Chachi, Bowls or Bowels on Bears. I'm not sure which one it is. I'm gonna go with Bowls because less gross.
Bowls. That sounds like more of a band.
Bowls on Bears. That.
Yeah.
And Cajun Canuck. Thank you so very, very much for supporting this here podcast. By the way, we're good to announce next week's guest, right, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We're going to be joined next week by, I was struggling to say his name, Bahamut?
Yeah, no, I think it works.
Bahamut. There we go. Bahamut.
I think you can do both. One's kind of D&D 3rd edition, one's sort of Final Fantasy. I'm not sure where he got it, so we'll ask him. Yeah, but he's going to be joining us next week. So we got two guys 2 weeks in a row. So we got that to look forward to. So yeah, but go check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. Thanks for the support, everybody. You get all kinds of perks, access to the Discord, signups for our patron nights, and an ad-free feed, which, speaking of which, we'll be right back after this week's message from our sponsors with news. See you on the other side. Hey everyone, just taking a quick break to thank today's sponsor, HelloFresh. I'm a huge fan of HelloFresh. I love it. I get to go to my door after the doorbell rings, and there is a box full of all of the ingredients I need to make multiple awesome meals. And even I'm not a particularly handy man in the kitchen by any means, even I can make delicious food with it. And it also helps me break out of my dinner rut. HelloFresh has 22 plus seasonal chef-curated recipes every week. There's something for everyone, including low-calorie, vegetarian, and family-friendly recipes. They also cut out stressful meal planning and prepping, so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in right about 30 minutes, or even 20 minutes with their quick recipe options. Big fan of that, especially on podcast recording nights. You can also add extra meals, lunches, things like that to your weekly order. You can also throw in really tasty sides, things like desserts or garlic bread or even cookie dough. So go check them out. I'm a big fan. They just sent me a wonderful burger to make. I've certainly made burgers in the past before, but this one had caramelized onions on it. I've never done that before. It was an awesome little addition, really upped my burger game. So you should go to HelloFresh.com/10Nexus right now and use the code 10Nexus, that's 10Nexus, for 10 free meals, including free shipping. Once again, that is 10 free meals and free shipping when you go to HelloFresh.com/10Nexus and use the code 10Nexus at checkout. We thank them for their support.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage. stay a while and listen.
All right, so we have had some time now with the January 22nd patch, and we talked a little bit last week about how some things have shifted around, but things are continuing to move around a little bit. What's going on with win rates, Kyle? You're still muted.
Yes. Most of these are spot on. 1% up, 2% down. Everything kind of did what it was supposed to. Arthas, happy to report, number one build, winniest build at the moment is Frost Presence at 1, and then a full Q build for yourself.
Yes, we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
We
Never say we never gave you anything nice there, folks.
Yeah. And that includes level 7, making sure you get that healing on your Immortal Coil. So Q build Arthas is working. It kind of makes sense. He's good at clogging the front line, gray mains and dive tanks getting on you, but just having that little poke to reach out, knock somebody out as they try to get away, that Li Ming as they run for it is doing lots of good work. Big winners outside that right now are Asmodan, who's up 2%, but still full orb build. So we're not seeing them use those stat buffs into, laser builds and all those sorts of things, main and demons. Auto attack is still rather popular to get those stacks. The biggest winner of everything is Cho, who is up 4% with upheaval at a crazy 40-second cooldown, which means it's basically available in between every team fight. It's kind of nuts. Combo it with a Thrall. I was playing this last week with Heroes of Fitness and their massive Cho'Gall power, and we wrecked some face with that business.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at it at the patch, and I remember both of us just being, dear God, that's kind of nutty. I mercifully have not had a Cho'Gall pop up in my games, which I was starting to see them pretty frequently. So when I saw this change, I was like, oh no, it's not going to end. If anything, I'm going to see more Cho'Galls, and I started panicking. I've managed to miss it, although at this point, I kind of want to fight against it in action with this upheaval change, but yeah.
It's interesting because it adds a power spike to 10 rather than 16, where a lot of Cho's power lies, which means he's looking better on things like Braxis and Tomb of the Spider Queen when he was being drafted anyway, because of the power of having that presence, rotating lanes or just manning one lane or sitting in the 4-man, as it were, 2 people on 1, so a 3-man, but you get the idea. When it comes to nerfs, Deathwing is down 3%, Dragon Soul Heatwave still on top. So what you were doing previously, it's worse, but people are still enjoying that one. And Ariel down 1%. Rez is still at an 89% popularity.
That does not surprise me.
It's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good.
I was not. I had so much fun in our pre-show game, man, because I was not keeping an eye on your cooldown at all. And I'm like, I have 100 health. I have to leave. And you're like, I got Rez. I'm like, turning around. Turning around. This is faster.
And the self-res is, being... I'm a giving person is what I'm trying to say. Most Ariels out there seem to be self-resing and getting in crazy positions to get a stun out, which means they hit more stuns. So it's kind of empowering Ariel to get more hope and do what she's doing anyway.
So that's cool. And we've talked about this in the past, about like tinfoil hat, like, are they overbuffing to get us to try and guide us to a certain play style before they then actually kind of make it sane and bring it back down to ground? Will it work this time though, man? Like, obviously there's certain ways they could get creative to balance the self-res rather than just taking it away. But could you imagine a world where they did like just kind of revert it, like no more self-res? I think a lot of Ariel players might just kind of wander off to other support options.
And I'm cool with that. Get off my Ariel, I say. But Lashes, you've been seeing some Ariel in gold, but it's not quite the epidemic.
I would say it's slowly creeping in. Ever since that change. She's actually starting to get banned every now and then, but obviously not as popular of a ban as a Kael'thas. But yeah, more and more gold players are starting to pick her up as their healer, but not still. I wouldn't say it's the popular pick, but
so it hasn't hit epidemic.
She's more
territory.
difficult to play. Yeah. So.
Well, relying on poke and hope and you're basically required to have a decent draft executed to get an Ariel working. That makes sense.
Yeah.
When it comes to the retools from last time, this is like Kairazim, Spirit Ally, Maiev, Orphea, Probius. They're all down about 1 or 2%. It makes sense. They retooled them to make them easier or just give them new toys, and people are adapting.
Thank you, Blizzard, for the Karazim changes. That's all I'm going to say.
You like that as a Kairazim player, or you disliked what he previously was?
I love Air Ally now. I love it a lot. So thank you for that.
I think your going live tweet the day of the patch was apparently Karazim needed a buff going live. I think it was something along that lines.
He's one of my favorite heroes to play, and I love him a lot, and I do well on him. So I didn't think that I had needed a buff as a player, but then Blizzard was like, here, Lashes, have a buff because your Karazim isn't good enough at your really awesome win rate percentage.
Well, if you are the cheesy type, there is a bug right now for Karazim. His air ally power is being absorbed by Deathwing and perhaps working on vehicles. So spell power to things that shouldn't be getting spell power.
Yeah.
Wow.
Been confirmed by the devs. Also been confirmed that they are working on a fix.
But as we move other people around, other heroes float around too, and right now it seems there's a bit of a Kerrigan epidemic going on. She is rising fast. Unknown sources why.
Kerrigan's been on top of the win rates consistently for over a year, 2 years, I think. Because way back when, years ago now, Kyle, when the Sonya nerf came in, I switched to Kerrigan, remember? Because I ended up like way lower than I had ever been before. And I'm like, well, I just need to climb out of this. And people's positioning is whack. How can I punish them? And my answer was Kerrigan. And I just climbed right the hell out of silver back to where I was before. But it was looking at win rates that made me realize that Kerrigan was so high. Now, if you look at games played, she's not in like Probius territory in terms of like, I love that you're drinking out of a Kerrigan cup. You're accidentally on brand.
I couldn't help it.
Yeah. So she's not like Probius levels of niche, right? But she's also not, Johanna levels of games played. So there's this world. It would be a party worth attending of Kerrigan players. Let's put it that way. But she's been up there for a while, but she's on the rise. You said I didn't notice that she'd been moving up.
Yeah, right now, I mean, she may have even achieved something like a 4% climb or bigger. It's currently sort of leaking in, and this isn't ranked. One interesting thing is that we're seeing Ultralisk really take the lead, and that is a stun. It's 0.5 seconds, but you put that on the back of maybe your 1.25 second impaling blades, and you're looking at something pretty mighty. Our main carries right now are kind of in that like Lunara Sylvanas territory where we're not supplying stuns, which means the team with more stuns, Kael'thas is included in this, is getting a bit more winny going on.
Yeah, I mean, she brings fantastic CC, and I'm glad to see that that Ultra is doing well, because that's my preferred of the two for sure. Albeit been a while since I've been on Kerrigan. I've been feeling the pull again, though, pun intended. Oh man, might need to do that.
What a stunning joke.
Moving right on to another stunner. Kael'thas has reclaimed his #1 assassin role in the video game. Most played, overtook Li Ming this week finally.
Damn.
The queen has been dethroned.
And we're going to talk about McIntyre's build, which is perhaps contributing to this. It's a whole new play style for playing that hero during our strategy section. Anduin is also on his way up, and I just have a theory here that Anduin's fun to play as a support, and support maining is in because it's so powerful the thing to do. There's such a lack of support mains that you can definitely feel when one team has a support and one team has the oops, I guess I'll Lily kind of thing going on. And Anduins just are fun. And in that way, with Ana bans, Ariel off the map, he's kind of the main thing left in the solo queue sort of player's eyes.
I mean, it was a very shiny video. It was a very well-made guide video. It's been a while since I've watched one, right? So, I mean, are you buying into the cult of Kael'thas, Kyle?
Man, mages are rough, but I've also kind of got a problem with like falling behind double soak business. It's a weird thing when you're like Leoric or Yrel, or you're just you're doing the double soak thing and you don't really have a job outside of ulting or joining team fights. It doesn't feel that bad, but when I'm a mage doing double soak or cleanup, which often happens if you fall behind at all, I just feel so outside the fantasy, if you will. Like, yeah, Shalmanor and getting out there, and yeah, I'm brimming with untold power for clearing this lane, and okay, next one, and I guess I'll Fury the Sunwell so I can clear these lanes better.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad, is it?
What I need to do if I want to get on mages is find the part of my brain that feels rewarded when Jaina walks up and blizzards a lane, and your brain goes, oh man, that felt great. Look at that. Everyone look at the one blizzard clear the lane. Doesn't that look good?
Maybe you should try Gul'dan. He's great. Stealing people's souls. It feels good. Even when you wreck a minion, you're like, yeah, give me your soul, man. Like that's a pretty true.
All right. Yeah, tell me. I'm on the priest train. I joined my WoW priest, so I'm naturally like half a toe into warlock anyway.
Yeah. Gul'dan. Give Gul'dan a try.
What build are you going?
I always go corruption build. So
okay.
It's just too good. It's too good for team fights. So, got to focus on finishing your corruption quest. And then you pick the talent where your fell flame hits on heroes reduces your cooldown on your corruption. And then when you get all your stacks and you're fighting over a tribute, and you just throw down one simple little corruption, and then like the whole enemy team is basically dead. It's just up to the rest of your team to capitalize on their low health, and then kaboom, you win. Feels great.
I mean, you're doing a really good job of selling Kyle. All you need to do is get really dramatic with the lore.
Well, the best part about it is that you're literally corrupting people, and you're putting fell fire, melting their faces, and you're singeing their hair off. And the whole time you're doing it, they're not even ready for the fear. And as soon as you hit that horrify, you can sit back and go, and you feel truly evil. And it's just great. Try it out. I urge you to try Gul'dan.
I urge you, Kyle, to think of your Blizzard or your Flame Strike, as just this wonderfully efficient thing that you get to do before you report through the objective. Like that last one, before you leave, you're just like, well, if I was someone else, I wouldn't be able to do this. But I'm this hero, so boop, and we're off. We're off to the races, where you then get to go bring those same things into an interesting fight scenario.
The problem is I have this horrible addiction, and it's called being really low health and then not dying. And I want to be like Thrall, Mal'Ganis, Zul'jin. I've kind of found my place with an auto attack ETC, which I'm quite proud of. But Yrel satisfying me in this way. Like I got to be like 10% health, and then connect a Drain Hope, and like the enemy's like, "Ha, we got you," and then it all turns around, and I barely survive. That gets my heart going. That's where I'm at.
Maybe you'd like the Drain Life.
Can I? That's my question here.
You have to be good at your positioning and knowing when it's appropriate to life tap and when you need to drain life.
Because if I could do a drain life, I think I'll jump on board.
As you were talking, I saw the gears turning in Bethany's head like, oh, this is a really easy sell for Gul'dan.
Yeah. Yep. Because you're in charge of your health. It's up to you to stay. The way that I play Gul'dan is it's up to you to be successful and to stay alive. You can be a completely successful Gul'dan without a healer. You just have to manage your drain life and know when to life tap and know when to not stand, way too far out in the middle of a lane when there's, a Diablo or an Alarak coming down to murder.
Nice. That's it's all right, Kyle. Although I have a feeling now I'm going to see one Gul'dan, but it's okay if you
I'll
don't
try
need to play.
again. He's actually very high level with very little success. But I'll give it another go. Yeah, I need to work on that reward for big spells, because when they miss, I'm just too disappointed. And I think that's my big hang up. Don't miss.
Don't miss. Get good.
Don't miss.
What are you doing?
If you can get one tick of your corruption quest per corruption you throw out, you should, start small. Congratulate yourself. You know what? I hit a hero with one tick of my corruption. Good job, me. That means only 29 more corruption waves to go before I finish my.
And on Jaina,
the more little ticks you can add, you're gonna feel even better. You're gonna be like, yeah, I got more than one this time. Feels good. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be a corruption pro, and you're just gonna be done with your quest in less than 5 minutes.
And on Jaina, why are you taking Circle? Why? Just go Elemental. Why are you punishing yourself?
Well, I mean that's in the bag. I'm good on that department.
Yeah,
I do have to tell everyone about a sad little failure story, and his name is Stitches.
Oh no!
Stitches is fallen fast, down 4% this week, and has entered the Genji territory, if you will, with other such favorites as Tracer and Valera.
Oh,
who said Valera was a favorite?
Well, I'm talking about favorite to trash on.
Okay.
Excuse you, I love Valera.
Yes, I know. And we think it's adorable that you try.
You know what, Kyle? You know what? I don't want to hear it, Mr. I can't land blizzards.
Yeah, that's fair. We all have our weaknesses. And Stitches is full of them.
Yeah. How much of this do you think is Stitches, and how much of it is everyone learned how to play Sylvanas and Tychus?
I mean, that could be. He's just sort of a big target. He's dancing around the background. I think we just have really solid tanks right now in the solid department. And I'm talking about ETC, Mal'Ganis, Johanna. Yeah. And everything else is sort of, if you have to, or if you want to get weird with picks, Garrosh. But those are 3 great options. Right now, our bans are heavily restricted to certain heroes, which means you're going to get one of these 3 major tanks on your team. I think of all of them, Mal'Ganis is the weakest because he's so draft dependent. If the enemy team doesn't draft any pushbacks or boops at all, he gets to do whatever the heck he wants in there, and he's amazing. But he's weak to ETC in that way. So that leaves no room for Stitches, or late pick tanks is maybe the better way to think about it. Because Diablo, maybe Mal'Ganis, but just he's got a lot of popularity. Arthas, Stitches, Anubarak are all in that I would like to wait and see what the enemy team's going to do territory.
Yeah, I agree with that, even in gold.
Yeah. I certainly have not been afraid of a Stitches in a little while. And when I was taking a look at what you were bringing up for talking points today, I'm like, oh yeah, well, that matches up with my anecdotal experience.
Yeah. There is supposedly a very soon talent update. We heard from Blizz D. Warner that our quote-unquote favorite chunky compadre will be receiving some minor talent love soon.
Ooh, gotcha. Well, I mean, while we're talking about that, we also talked about the Air Ally Deathwing bug. Let's talk about the other blue post we were going to mention this week, because there was also one that's saying that Garrosh should not be losing his cooldown if an enemy blinks out of E range, and AZ Jackson was the one to confirm this in a comment, saying that. Also going further to say, quote, that a proper fix is a bit more complicated than it seems, and we tried a fix back then that didn't do what we wanted. It caused more issues, so we had to revert it. We have some new capabilities now to fix it properly that we're going to try in the near future. So a fix is coming, in AZ Jackson's words, soonish on that. So there's hope, Garrosh players. There's hope.
This is Tracer Blinks, Falstad barrel rolls, and I believe Li Ming teleports, probably including in that Zeratul.
Level 20 Blink also caused this?
Oh, okay. I'm not I mean, you know, I ban Garrosh when I play with friends because I don't want them to have bad times. So I'm kind of like, well, I mean, if you blink, then Garrosh got mad and threw a rock. Like the role play's not ruined, and he should be on cooldown.
We also have to wait till 20 to do that, Kyle.
Right. And so you spent your 20 to do that.
I'm okay to, if it's 20, that's an important fight. I'm fine to spend my blink not getting thrown.
Right, but if Tracer's in your face at level 1 and you want to throw her and you miss your whole cooldown, let's call bug.
Fair. And then also 50 plus mastery rings was brought up again, and D. Warner got in and said that they're actively working on expanding the number of mastery rings, but do not have a release date at this time. So
Hooray!
I've come around on those. When they first announced it, you could probably go back and find the episode. I don't know when it was, but I was like, this seems not that great. I kind of love them now. Like on my big heroes that I play a lot, like my Rexar one trick, like, I love my mastery ring. It's great.
Does Misha get her own ring? Do you get double value there?
Does she?
I don't think she does.
I don't think she does.
That's so sad.
I don't know.
Give Misha her ring.
If anything,
flip it around. Like,
take
give the ring to
Rexar's
Misha.
away. Misha is the hero.
That'd actually be really cute. A little cute nod.
Or like, give me a toggle. Like, give me a little toggle in the selection screen where I'm picking my mount and picking my skin. Like, just like, boop. I want the ring on Misha instead.
Nah, man. You got to buy both.
I would. I'd be happy to.
Choose which one you wish to spend your gold on first.
Yep. And then kind of the biggest thing in Blue Replies this week came in response to a big post from JHow on the Heroes subreddit, which is very lengthy, I think very well written, brings up a lot of really important issues that we've been talking about for months now in regards to matchmaking problems if you are Masters or Grandmasters, and the major spread between leagues that are happening to fill out those games. And you, again, go read JHow's letter in full. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but that's kind of the long and short of it. And he also, in the letter, requests to be able to party with his Diamond 1 through 3 friends. He wants that to be added into the game. But what's also interesting about all this is that it got a reply from DeGauer in the thread. And in it, I will quote this. DeGauer said, quote, "We are exploring how best to tighten up the rules without negatively changing wait times too much, and we have some ideas, so hang tight and we will let you all know when they go in. In the meantime," and here DeGauer brings something up that I didn't even know existed in the options of this game. "If you are playing in NA, especially if you are Diamond Plus, you can check the game site or sites that you are connected to in our options menu. We have seen that some players and masters have selected a particular game site and that oftentimes they are different from each other. This means our matchmaker cannot match them together, which makes it sad." DeGauer's words, not mine. "If you guys are happy to select either best match, this almost always covers both NA game sites if you're living in NA land, or can all agree on the game site to play on, it may help your experience until our changes hop on in." And again, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know you go into options and there's literally a section called region and a little drop down that says preferred game server, and it defaults to best match. But like for NA, you can choose Central, Western, Brazil, Singapore. There's a few other options on there as well if you scroll down.
I'm so sorry you did not know that was an option.
I
feel
idea.
really bad. Like maybe I should have told you years ago, and I'm very sorry.
Well, frankly, it wouldn't have affected me down in Platland, so wouldn't really.
Well, it is. Go for it, Lashes.
It's a really important option to know about, and I'm really glad that he brought it up. The last time it was brought up was probably well over a year ago, so I'm glad he brought that up.
Gotcha.
It doesn't seem like it should be as impactful as it is, though. Like, if you were given the option and it says the ping on it, like, I want less ping, of course. And that's what I did. I selected Western United States.
Yep.
But that means my queues might be longer. And in particular, he's responding here to the idea that you were sitting there with your friends list open and you know all your master's buddies and they're all queuing and you never see each other. And it's Blizzard's problem. In some ways, we didn't understand the importance of this selection. And we got to have that doubled down on people. If this is true, if this has as big of an impact as it does, we need to reach the masses, not just Reddit, and let them know that best match is going to bring everybody together. Or as he says, if ever we all agree that Brazil is the place to be, we all select Brazil if we want top tier matchmaking.
Is the tan included? I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. Also, chat room is saying that Nisha does get a ring, and
she has a ring.
Are DMing me photos.
Don't play with.
I didn't notice this. It's also
Where's
been
the picture? I want to see it.
It's been a little bit. If I bring it up, it will make the overlay explode.
Don't do it then.
Yeah,
I don't want to break.
I also haven't been on Rexar in a little while. I was a little shook. A couple weeks ago. Listened to 2 episodes ago. If you want to hear that story. But back to this. Yeah. So this is really important to know. I might be the odd person out. I didn't know this again was an option. To me, this almost seems like the kind of thing that I would assume would be more surface level when you go to queue for a game. Like it would kind of show you where you are currently selected as opposed to kind of being buried in the options. But whatever the case is, as long as they're, doing what DeGauer is doing here and bringing attention to it and reminding folks that this might be the reason, or at least a part of the reason as to why you're seeing such wonky matchups and not seeing people that you think you should be running into on ladder. Well, here's one way to try and mitigate that a little bit. So
I like that idea. You go to queue, particularly for ranked, and it says you are queued 2 months left, Western United States.
Yeah.
So at least we had that dialogue. So when you message a friend and why did you get a match and I didn't? Oh, well, I'm on Central. Oh, man, I need to switch over to Central if I want to solo queue into you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting thing to know about if you didn't know about it. And if you do know about it, maybe it's worth taking another look at and also seeing what your buddies are at and what all exactly is going on there. So I'm curious to see if there's any trickle down effect, if we get any follow-ups from Masters and GM players that mess with this and hopefully saw some sort of improvement. But as usual, we have links to all of these blue replies. I almost said blue tweets. Most of these are Reddit comments in the show notes. You can find them at amove.tv/ITN. And if you go there, it's always linked. It's a Google Doc link at the very bottom of each blog post for each episode. So go check it out. Now let's take a moment and talk a little bit more about Kael'thas and specifically that new McIntyre guide that went out that we talked about earlier in this week's strategy segment.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Don't reveal our plans to our foes. I mean it. Not a word.
And so, yeah, this was through Heroes Hearth, right? I believe I saw the Heroes Hearth logo at the beginning of it. Yeah, McIntyre put out a really, really well-edited Kael'thas guide through them. And it seems like that. This is why I was curious, Kyle, because I was looking at this, I'm like, ooh, Kyle looks like he's got the Kael'thas bug. But you were saying not so much. But even though this is clearly good information.
Yes, this is an entirely different way to play Kael'thas, and if you've been autopiloting since his release, which a lot of us have been, you are probably doing a lot of double living bombs, and you need to cool your jets, because there is a very real way to play, and if we're taking Kerrigan as an example, that stuns are winning games, particularly with our big tanks up there, like ETC and Johanna. Stuns are winning games, and you need to adapt and completely change your play style, and it's going to take a little bit of work because it is an entirely different play style.
Yeah. You could probably even draw a couple of lines between Kael'thas and and Kerrigan in terms of like Kerrigan is the type of hero like we still to this day think of the Kerrigan combo, right? It's like, do you have the combo down? Okay, practice that before you even really kind of start trying to play against people on Kerrigan. And, McIntyre goes into what might be very, very basic information for some players out there, but if you're new to the hero, there are some things with Kael'thas you should really know that it's not necessarily a hard combo like what's going on with Kerrigan, but there are ways you should be playing to maximize value and not waste certain cooldowns, like not empowering your Q to clear a minion wave. You don't need to. There's no point.
You can actually put the circle on top, the full collapsed wave, when it's all pretty with the little knights in front and the archers in the back and the wizard in the middle. Yeah, and just blow the whole thing up without ever empowering your Q. Your Q does not empower damage at all. And there's a lot of autopiloting out there. when you empower, it increases radius by 50%, not damage anymore. This was that big update maybe 2 years ago.
It's been like that a long time now. I honestly don't remember when that came in. But yeah, you're like you said, when it's tidy, your standard Q can hit the entire thing, and yeah, you should be throwing your living bomb on the middle wizard and just easily clearing the wave. And if you're Kyle, grumbling about it, because apparently that's not cool enough.
Lashes, you said that Kael'thas was pretty much constant ban territory. Does that mean he is Dove 4 and you're the one to do it on the team?
It's more like players can't stop spreading his bomb. So,
but if you get the chance, banned. Like if your team has first pick and some miracle scenario happens where he doesn't get banned, you just lock him in?
Yeah. So earlier when we were playing together and I was telling you I had that rough last game last night, it was because the person in our group that normally tanks was really excited that Kael'thas hadn't been banned and we had first pick, and he picked Kael'thas, and it's like everything he knew about the game went out the window because he never gets to play Kael'thas, and we ended up losing. So it can, if you have the opportunity to do first pick Kael'thas, like, you better make sure before you do that last ban that you have somebody that is a solid Kael'thas. Otherwise, they're not going to have a good.
Well, keep it real for me during this rundown, because in that world we're talking about living bombs and probably living bomb builds just owning the land.
Yeah, and gold for sure.
But the big sort of thesis statement of McIntyre's build here is that Gravity Lapse, you may not be aware, and I wasn't, it, when empowered, increases the stun duration by 50%.
Yep.
It feels like a lifetime in this game. Now, on top of the fact that it could hit multiple targets.
Yeah, the multiple targets thing, that's visual, but the stun increase wasn't in my brain. So,
I'm actually surprised more people don't play him like that, to be honest. But
well, and because of that, you now are going to hit your Q, and your living bombs spread off of one living bomb. You don't have to do two and cause some sort of kerfuffle on the enemy side. You can do one because you stun 3 people, and they will all be in the air long enough that it spreads.
Yeah.
Are you saying that your circular attack is guaranteed to land because you comboed correctly?
Because your stun led the way, and this means that when you're walking around, you hit your trait because you are going to lead with Gravity Lapse. That is the whole reason why you sit with that trait active as you move into a team fight. It has nothing to do with double living bombs at all. It's all about hitting that sweet Gravity Lapse, putting a Q under their feet, the Flame Strike, and then putting a living bomb on them. And in that time they're in the air, it spreads and does all its business.
Yeah, and they're
pretty nasty.
They're a very obvious target for other folks on your team.
Because we're kind of lacking stuns, and like Kira's spinning around and people are going to sleep, but a true stun in the game is hard to come by. So to empower this idea, we're doing Mana Addict to keep your mana high and give you that shield later on. You're doing Energy Royal, which we need to go back to Dunk Train's day on this show. We were all talking about the speed increase of Netherwind and getting those deep snipes and all that. Energy Royal reduces the mana cost of Gravity Lapse by 70, just flat. So if you're missing and whiffing, no harm done to your mana pool. But if Gravity Lapse hits, reduce the cooldown of Gravity Lapse by 9 seconds. With travel time, we're looking at about a 4-second cooldown on the Energy Royal. Now you're just you're spamming it. Diablo, Zeratul, whoever it is trying to get on you, you're just stunning them up and laying everything under their feet when they land, empowered with that longer stun.
Right, that is it's kind of bananas, right? Especially when you think of all of the cooldowns. So Gravity Lapse of the abilities that you start with is the longest cooldown. But if you're landing it and you're landing that 9, that brings it down to 5 seconds. You don't even have another Flame Strike up yet. That's how quick that cooldown reduction makes your Gravity Lapse. It is crazy.
Now, when we get to level 7, we're going to talk about Sunfire Enchantment for a hot moment, which has been the playstyle for a little bit because we're all pyroblasting. Phoenix is out. Nobody's afraid of it. It sits there and everyone kind of goes, ooh, okay. And then that's fine. And just invades the space. You're not going to clear an infernal shrines, just kind of eject it from your memory for the most part. Pyroblast, Sun Fire Enchantment, land 2 basic attacks empowered, so more damage on a hero, and you get 15% spell power. So the full combo now at this point is Gravity Lapse, empowered. They're in the air for such a long time, you auto attack. Oh, it's a relaxing activity. Put a Q under their feet and give them 1 living bomb. And then, as with your massive cast range on Pyroblast, you let it loose as they run away because you've already done half their health and damage.
Sounds gross, Kyle.
If they are like determined or badass, you've got a 4-second cooldown, 5-second cooldown now on your energy roll Gravity Lapse to just do this again should they continue to pursue. Then you're getting into like Pyromaniac, reducing your cooldowns further on top of that like 5 seconds you have. And in this style, we want to do Twin Spheres for that second charge because you just Gravity Lapse 2 people and put a living bomb on them. There's nobody to ignite. You want a computer to decide who's going to get a living bomb? You've already decided yourself. You're going to do an empowered Gravity Lapse into an empowered living bomb double, and that's going to take care of it for itself. You just skip ignite altogether.
I love this. I have not been doing this build. Like, I always go for distance on my Gravity Lapse talent. So this is what I'm doing, like, starting today. I'm so excited about this build.
I'm inspired to pick up Kael'thas. I never play him, so this is kind of inspiring me to give him another try.
Yeah, we'll trade. You know, people get mad about double wizards, so we won't, take it into rank together. But I'll play Gul'dan, you play Kael'thas.
I like this homework. This is good.
Yeah, and we'll trade and shoot each other double-spaced reports on Monday.
Sounds good.
Well, they're just doing it wrong. You need to triple mage like we accidentally did in last month's patron games.
Listen, you don't need sustain if they're dead.
That was one of the more dominant patron games we've ever had.
By the way, level 20, you're stacking on top of this a Presence of Mind. Increase Pyroblast explosion radius by 50%. Heroes that are hit by Flame Strike or have living bombs spread to them reduce the cooldown of Pyroblast by 10 seconds. Your cooldowns are already really short. This is just about getting your kill condition on an even shorter cooldown. And there's a whole like what if build them here where you do end up on Ignite and Flamethrower and Burn Flesh because you're just completely zoned out and you're just trying to recover. This is your ideal Kael'thas, and the idea is that they are going to dive you to kill you because you're awesome, and you have all the tools you need to deal with them with a shield, with reduced cooldowns, with long stuns, and a auto attack that kicks butt.
I'm getting a little nervous now. Like, I don't know that we should be talking about this. I don't want Kael'thas to be good.
I don't want to live in a world where Kael'thas is doing longer stuns than he already does because they're playing this style. Yeah, we'll all just keep banning him. Sure,
keep banning him. It's fine.
Listen, just practice him outside of your team games so that the next time he makes it through, you're on the case. And you've had this discussion ahead of time. You go to your team, you're like, listen, y'all. Look at this build? It's insane. I've been practicing it. Y'all want stun?
Why did you go convection?
Do you want stun? Do you want possibly multi-hero stuns every 5 seconds? I'm your mage. Like you go in there and you sell it. It's gonna be wonderful.
Oof.
I believe in you, Bethany. You can do it.
Thank you.
You can be the Kael'thas. You don't need to fear. There's no reason to be afraid of the Kael'thas if you are the Kael'thas.
Well, now what mage are you going to practice, Garrett? Like, Kyle's going to practice some Gul'dan. I'm going to practice some Kael'thas. You should pick a mage to practice, too.
I'll just continue being awesome at Jaina. How's that sound?
No, that's continuing. You got pick up Mephisto. Yeah.
But no. I hate Mephisto.
Why do you hate Mephisto?
God, I hate everything about it. I don't like it.
I feel like he's getting more popular lately.
Oh, he absolutely has. He absolutely has, and I will continue dying on my hipster hill of Mephisto isn't cool.
What's wrong with him? He's so spooky skeleton man. I feel like that's right up your alley.
Oh, he looks He looks like what I find in the bottom of my bucket of fried chicken. He's just kind of lame looking to me.
What?
What
Wait,
kind
hang
of
on.
fried
Bill.
chicken are you eating?
That's true. There shouldn't be nothing freaky in the bottom of your fried chicken, Garrett. You gotta shape up and
He's
change
just
your
like,
restaurant.
He's just like lame bones, man. Come on, Kyle, how many times have I sat here on this show and respected your, oh, this doesn't hit the fantasy that gets me excited to play a hero. That's Mephisto for me, man. He's goofy. Mephisto looks like a bad 90s PC gamer cover.
Yeah, that is true. Wasn't that great too when they would just put like game art on the cover because the graphics sucked?
Oh, that's great.
No,
But
that's not what I'm
he's got
talking
all
about. I'm
this-
talking about like bad 90s like rendered like plastic rendered like 3D where they're like at the time were like nothing will ever look better than this.
Oh,
And
sure.
Now you look at it and it looks like Toy Story 1. You're just like, what am I? Oh boy. My brain
Hey
aches
man,
this
I
up.
remember seeing Toy Story and being like, video games will never reach that pinnacle, but at least we have what we got. No, but I'm honestly surprised. I knew we didn't like Mephisto because he's a buzzy buzzers and he's like, "Buzz, everybody look out," and then he doesn't complete what he started. But I thought the Tim Burton curls, had a place in your heart.
I'm actually shocked. I think
got
it's
like a-
time for you to practice Mephisto.
Yeah,
No.
he's got a
Might have
bone
a
mustache.
Nope, I won't. I refuse. I refuse.
He's
I will
got the new toy
I will start
skin.
I will start dusting off my Li Ming and then I will actually land my magic missiles. Will that make you happy?
What about Orphea?
Oh yeah, Orphea.
Oh, you could. Okay, now Orphea, I could get behind because I have avoided her for the most part. I barely really touched
Why?
her
Are you
since the
kidding me?
launch.
Oh my gosh. Okay, your
I was
assignment
really going through a
is Orphea.
renaissance at that time. Like I was just starting to pick up Rexar. I was just starting to wrap my brain around Solo Lane. I was really going on a journey. It was it was nothing against Orphea. I wasn't. I will say at the time I was a little bit like, oh, there's other heroes I wanted this to be. Oh, okay. But I was excited about the kit. But at first, Kyle, you were just playing a ton of Orphea, and we were playing games together at the time, and I was happy to let you go off on that journey because I was on my my spirit bear journey with Misha. So
I mean, I will still advertise, I really want a Shadow Priest skin for Orphea. I want like, Cthulhu tie-in of some kind, but
Ooh,
just
that'd be cool.
wowify it for me. But Bethany, I just did a
Yeah.
big Kael'thas how-to. Give us your build on Orphea.
Well, I'm weird, okay? I don't play Orphea like most people play Orphea. I've always been a fan of Q-build Orphea. Most people don't do that. And a lot of people would tell me that I'm stupid and I'm dumb and I shouldn't be playing Q-build Orphea. But you know
well,
what?
F those
It's-
people.
Exactly. F those people. I'm gonna play Orphea the way that it makes me happy to play Orphea. I personally love Q build, especially right now. If you're going up against a Deathwing, okay, and you need that % health drain, oof. Bye, Deathwing. You're dead. I'm Orphea. I'm gonna chomp your dragon butt, and you're just gonna die. Okay. So I absolutely adore her Q build. And that's all I've got to say about it. Try her.
Is it just
try
the level?
Try all her builds. They're all different. They're all different playstyles, which is something that's so unique to her hero design.
Is it the level 4? Is like that the crux of why you're in level? Because that's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pulling it up right now just to double check. Yeah, that's the one that sets the Q to a 3/4 of a second cooldown if you hit a hero with
Basically
it, right?
feel like a little centipede. Like, let's say, you got a hero running away from you and you're staying your distance. You hit the tip of your Q. Oh, and they're running and they're half health and then they're running and then you're like, oh, hit my Q again. I'm not right next to you. I'm going to chomp you. And then they're still running and then you hit them with your Q and then they're dead. They can't get away from you.
Is that a California thing? Centipede?
Well,
Like,
what do you call it?
Are you under attack?
Or a caterpillar?
No.
Any
you mean like the
tubed
graphic,
insect?
The little
not that-
worm.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the slam?
Maybe I meant caterpillar.
No. I get
Now
it.
I'm like questioning life.
I think you did mean caterpillar because centipedes
what's a
kind of
centipede?
have a
Wait,
million little
hold on,
feet and they're
Google.
creepy as hell.
Yeah, they're the freaky
That
ones, but
But do they go? They still go like this, right?
No, that's
Okay, I don't
caterpillars.
want to look at that
yeah,
picture.
they do the snake.
Caterpillar's a friendlier image.
Yes.
God, I'm sorry, team.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's C words.
I'm just making sure that California doesn't have an epidemic of aggressive centipedes
I
that
don't want to
chase
think
you
about
down.
bugs. I don't want to think about bugs.
Oh
Anyway,
my god,
yeah.
I wish there was a way that wasn't insane to at times in real time transcribe the chat room for our audio listeners at home, because right now it's just people trying to figure out what or giving other examples of things that would work, like
I'm sorry.
inchworm.
Oh my god.
So
okay,
good.
anyway, I love her Cupid.
Which all?
I used to go crushing jaws, but then I just stopped because I really love Eternal Feast a lot. I also typically, like, especially in ranked, if I'm drafting her, I'll only draft her for like team fight objective maps. So like Cursed Hollow, I really enjoy taking Eternal because especially if you need to pair up with or area and they use like a Mosh or the Graviton Surge and all the heroes are just stuck there, right? And then you just drop your Eternal Feast and like the whole team is just dead. It's great. It's beautiful when it happens.
Okay, so
it's magical.
We figured it out. You set that up with your Kael'thas Gravity Lapse. I come in, I drop the Eternal Feast, and then Kyle, I don't know, Hellfire? Like Rain of Hellfire?
Yeah, I guess you couldn't really go Horrify. Well, what you could do is hold on to your Horrify. Stun him. I drop Eternal Feast, right? As soon as like they're out of the stun and they're still hanging out, we'll need someone else to slow, right? We'll need someone else to slow them all. Maybe a Blaze in there, right?
We'll do.
And then you drop the Horrify so that no one has the ability to heal one another. Dead. Kaboom!
How about we get? Wait, no, this involves Orphea. That was Garrett. Okay, I'll do Kael'thas, and I'll put down the Glacier and pull them into the Eternal Feast.
Also, really good pair. I'm a big fan of double mage. A lot of people aren't, but if you have two mages that work well together, ooh, chef's kiss.
We figured it out. We've got our comp.
Yeah.
We have it now. We figured it out.
All right, you got some homework to do.
We're taking volunteers to fill this out. Taking volunteers. Raise your hand. You in the back of the class. Well, awesome. Clearly, if you couldn't tell, we are nearing the end of the show, so we are wandering off topic wonderfully. So if you'd like to check out this McIntyre Kael'thas guide that we brought up, it is on the Heroes Hype YouTube right now. We have a link in the show notes. Go check them out. amove.tv. Just look for the episode 307 post. Linked at the bottom. It's a Google Doc link. Go to it. Check it out. And that's going to bring us to the end of this week's episode of Into the Nexus. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you want to be a part of the show, you can write in. We have an email. It's itncast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, congratulations. You have access to the patron-only Discord. Just make sure your Discord is actually hooked up to your Patreon account. If it's not, then it doesn't work because it's actually kind of smart. It happens automatically. So go check it out. You can drop us questions there as well. Other than that, speaking of our patrons, thank you so much once again. If you're out there listening, you like the show, thinking to yourself, how can I support the podcast? Patreon.com/ITN. That is the answer to that question. And a huge thanks to our producers, too, while we're talking about this. Thank you to Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., Robert M., and Mike C. Thank you so much for the support, you five. Really appreciate it. You can catch us live typically on Thursdays after 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm enjoying this, Kyle. We're doing this living, breathing thing where after 3 p.m. Eastern, doesn't make sense because no one was here for this. We were having an
waiting for it all show.
We were having an off-air conversation. And I mentioned something about being living, breathing, and Kyle's like, "I hate that term. It's the worst. It's so PR speak." Anyways, we go live sometime after 3 p.m. Sometimes Kyle and I do a game. Sometimes we do a second game. We just kind of hang, and eventually we start doing the show because we have the time on Thursday to do that. And we sometimes we have team building exercises for Into the Nexus Incorporated, which means playing games and getting all the cuss words out of our system before we start podcasting. It's wonderful. So you can join us for that. Bethany, as our wonderful guest today. I'm so glad we finally got to get you on the show. We'll have to have you back.
I freaked out when you guys reached out. I was like, oh my gosh, I would absolutely love to, because I'm personally a big fan of the show. So it's kind of like a dream come true to be here. It's really, really freaking awesome.
Again, because of your ridiculous and so entertaining reaction to the patch notes from a few weeks ago, Katie has started referring to Kyle and I on the show as the boys.
The boys! It's so true, though.
Because your reaction was, have they seen this? Have the boys seen this?
Yeah. It's so true.
Katie was laughing, and she's like, she does know that you were like older, right? Yes. It was funny.
Just barely, right? I don't know. Are you?
I thought I was quite a few years older.
I think I'm older than you.
Are you?
Oh.
We'll have this discussion off air. We don't need to talk about our old bones on air. But
yeah, everything hurts, by the way.
Yes, it does.
The older you get, the more you wake up and you're like, why does that hurt? You know,
I've been building a rather large shed roof recently, and I have found out I don't do a lot of physical activity. It turns out even just simply like leaning over for extended periods of time can wreak havoc on my body. So that's fun. But you have an awesome stream. Folks should go hang out. They should watch you play Heroes of the Storm.
Talk about that. Whoops. Yeah. Hey.
So
my name is Bethany or Lashes. I'll do a thing.
Yeah. Before we go, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Itslashes. Not Itslashes. Hold on. Twitch.tv/Itslashes. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is where I put like all my more real life stuff. So anytime I decide to go outside, which is always scary, I go to Disneyland a lot. So if you're in a Disney, I do Disney stuff a lot. And yeah, I'm streaming. I'm trying to do 5 days a week right now. So you can mostly catch me in the afternoons to the early evenings. And I play Heroes of the Storm, World of Warcraft, and Hearthstone Battlegrounds. So yeah, that's me.
It's a good one, isn't it? I can't do Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is just like,
oh man, I could talk about it for days.
I'm actually watching stream. I don't watch streams. Like I'm an old man, and I'm like, I came from podcasts. While watching someone play a game, I could just go play the game. I'm watching people play Battlegrounds. Like this is the most I've ever watched any game stream because I just want to learn how to draft better.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and there's a lot to learn, and it's all adaptable learning. You have to be quick to adapt, and it teaches you how to make good choices and stick behind your decisions, which
based
is
on
applicable
imperfect scenarios too, which I think is something a lot of us could learn about dealing with things in Heroes of the Storm from.
And in real life,
things don't always go to plan.
Exactly, so. Like our Diablo earlier.
Well, I'm going to slide it over to Kyle. Dude, where can everyone find you when you're not doing Into the Nexus?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. You can also check out my Dungeons and Dragons content over at kylefergusson.com. DM gives inspiration 3 seasons of 15-minute shows to teach you how to DM 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, check out There Will Be Dungeons, the live play show where I am a barbarian lizardman.
I'm a fan of the lizardmen. There's a lot of them in the bushes outside my office window because I live in Florida.
Sure.
There's a lot of lizards here too in California.
Hanging.
They're everywhere.
I don't think I've ever seen a lizard in California.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I lived there for 2 years.
I walked to the grocery store and I see like 5.
I never saw a lizard.
Southern California. Did you live in Southern California?
Yeah, I lived in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, I mean,
they're all run over there, man. There wasn't any nature left in Sherman Oaks.
They tried to get there on the 405 and they just didn't make it.
Yeah, I've always had lizards in my backyard and everywhere.
Nice. Well, folks, you can find me not in California. I went back to where palm trees cost about 1/3 the cost of living as it does in Southern California. It's called Florida. And I'm on Twitter at GarrettArt, amove.tv for all the podcasts. Go check out The Angry Chicken, especially if you thought that little bit of Battlegrounds talk at the end was interesting. There's a whole lot of it happening over on the Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast. Also have WoW Killer, my new WoW podcast that I do with Taliesin. We just made 8.3 fight the final patch of every other of WoW expansion. It was a really fun episode. We were like, all right, 8.3 versus 6.2, go. Of course, 8.31, that was the final patch of Warlords. Nobody likes Warlords, even compared to BFA. But it was a really interesting episode. It was a fun, what makes a final patch. It was a fun to kind of deconstruct, what were our favorites? What do we respond to? It's not just a dumping on BFA fest. That's not what it devolves into. So go check it out, WoW Killer, wherever podcasts can be found. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with episode 308 of Into the Nexus. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
Don't die.
Yeah.